Welcome everyone to the Stardom cast, and it is the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, folks, you know what time it is. It is 5-star Grand Prix time, as we are going to be reviewing nights 1 and 2 of the fantastic 5-star review. I am your host, Matt Turner. This is episode 74 of the Stardom cast, and I hope everybody is doing fantastic. I hope you were better yesterday than you were today. I hope you're better today than you were yesterday. I hope you're better this week than you were last week, because that's what it's all about. It's just getting a little bit better each and every day. And if you're a little bit on the downside, let's get you to the positive side. Let's strap on in. Let's have a good time with this episode of the Stardom cast. You probably can hear it. I'm fired up. I'm tuned up. I'm excited. One, I'm excited to talk about these two fantastic shows. Number two, I'm always excited to talk to the friends and family of the Stardom cast, and I'm super pumped and super jazzed as I just listened to the new In Flames song. It is fantastic. If you've been listening to this podcast for a little bit, you will know that I'm a big fan of heavy metal. I'm a big fan of the Sweden metal band In Flames. And speaking of In Flames, yes, that's my ham-fisted segue. Going down in flames is our Io Shirai watch, as I'm sure, as everybody listening to this podcast knows, she will not be coming back to Stardom anytime soon. She showed up this Saturday at SummerSlam. So, I do want to apologize. I was going to do it on social media, but I figured I'll just do it here. I do want to apologize to all the listeners that I mind gotten their hopes up as we've been doing this Io Shirai watch for, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 weeks. We were just remain positive, thought she was coming back. But hey, good on her. You know, she got to do her main roster debut in front of like 40,000 people, over there in Tennessee, and she's going to be feuding with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, right off the rip. So hey, good on her. You can't blame her for wanting to stay there, but who knows? Maybe someday she'll be back in Stardom. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Keep her fingers crossed. So we'll see. Maybe we'll keep the Io Shirai watch. Maybe on the episodes we have a little bit more time. I mean, hey, it's your show as well. I'm just talking. Let me know if maybe we'll do what Io did this past week on WWE TV. I mean, she is the queen of Stardom after all. So if you want to do a quick little 2 or 3 minute, you want me to do a quick little 2 or 3 minute Io Shirai watch at the beginning of the show, maybe we'll do it. Let me know. Let me know what you want to hear. But let's get on to it. Let's get on to these two absolutely fantastic shows. I know a lot of people watched it live. For me, I think it was 3:30 in the morning on the Saturday show, and the Sunday show was 1:30 in the morning. And I did watch a little bit of SummerSlam. It was, let me back up a little bit on the Io Shirai thing. The one cool thing was, like, when Io came out, my phone was blowing up. My social media was blowing up of people, like, they just wanted to know what my opinion on it was. And obviously I was a little bit disappointed because we all want her in Stardom. But obviously what's best for her is her staying with the company. She's going to be making a ton of money and making a bigger name for herself. But the cool thing was, I talked to my friends that watch WWE on the regular. They were texting me, back and forth, and I was talking to a lot of the listeners of this podcast. A lot of listeners from England, a lot of listeners from Japan, and the next day, like Saturday, I was tweeting back and forth, like DMing back and forth with the listener from Belgium. So to me, that's just really cool that, like, this podcast, it just reaches people all over the world. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, like literally doing this podcast on my daughter's art desk. So, and the fact that this goes out to, I get messages from people from Paris, from Belgium, from Japan, from Italy. And I just think that's really, really cool. So, and I guess, hey, another ham-fisted segue, quick little segue. If you checked my Twitter out the other day, my daughter, speaking of her art desk, she just did a little art project for the Hana Kimura little tribute thing that her mother's putting up. So I put that up on Twitter. Just take a look, comment, retweet it. It's something that, as my daughter's going into her senior year of high school, that's like something that more than likely she's going to be going to college for. So, hey, by all means, like it, retweet it, get it out there. And it's for a good cause, for the Hana Kimura Memorial. Getting into this show, let's go into night number 1 from the 30th of July in front of 1,537 people. We're just going to quickly go through the pre-show tag team gauntlet. We had segment number 1 was Rina and Ruaka versus Hina and Miyu Amasaki, and Rina gets the win over Hina with the backslide jackknife pin. And then we saw the team of Koguma and Hana come out. Koguma gets the schoolboy back roll, the Koguma roll over Hina. So that would take it to Koguma and Hana versus the team of Tam and Natsupoi. I think this was kind of easy one to figure out who was gonna win this one at this point. Tam hits the German suplex on Hana. So then we get Tom and Natsupoi versus Momo Watanabe and Saki, and Poi goes over Saki via an inside cradle. And then the final was the mystery team. I thought that was the end of it. Was Natsupoi and Tam versus Starlight Kid, who was supposed to be wrestling Suzu Suzuki, but she missed this weekend shows, I believe, with COVID-related issues. So hopefully she'll be back soon. Starlight Kid and Fukin Death, but Natsupoi getting the Ferial gift on Fukin Death. So Tam and Natsupoi pick up a win here. 3.5 stars for the whole tag gauntlet. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Sometimes on these pre-shows, when they do these battle royals, you kind of have like little throwaways. You get a lot of star power in there. You know, Natsupoi, Tam, you had Starlight Kid, you had Momo, you had Koguma on there, Hana, you had a bunch of champions in there. Miyu Hamasaki looked really good. So I thought this was really good. Good way to warm up the crowd. And then we went to the fantastic beginning of the 5-star with the pageantry, with the lighting and the smoke coming off the stage. Very, very well done. And I liked it how each group came out like in their own individual thing. Like Cosmic Angels to me, you know, I'm a 90s kid. Cosmic Angels to me looked like they were getting ready to leave that stage and go film a video with Janet Jackson from like 1994. I thought they looked so cool. I liked how Queen's Quest, Utami, Saya, Kamatani, and Azumi, they came out in like the Momo robes. I believe that's what the kimono robes, excuse me, not Momo, kimono robes. And they all had like their colors. Like Azumi was purple, Utami was red, Saya was green. I thought that was very well done. I thought, you know, Stars looked really good. DDM looked really good. God's Eye, you know, they got the final, you know, they were like the last unit that was announced, I think, because of Sherry being the champion. I thought that was all very, very well done. And they seem, every year they seem to just top each other. They every year with this little opening ceremonies, they really put a really big focus on. Very similar to the Olympics. Like it's its own thing. I saw a lot of people tweeting out saying they were so excited for the shows, but they were so excited for like these opening ceremonies. So I thought that was, you know, really, really cool. Just another positive spin on Stardom and these shows. The other positive spin on these two shows was the commentating team had New Japan legend Yuji Nagata, who's been actually teaching some of the wrestlers in Stars, or probably in Stardom, but obviously they're doing something with the Nagata lock with Saida, which we saw a lot here. So I thought that added a lot to the show, is having a legend like Yuji Nagata do the commentary for these entire two shows. So I thought that was, again, another little flicker on top of the fantastic wrestling that is Stardom. So let's get into match number 1 proper. Saw Mei Sakurai versus Momo Kogo from the Red Stars block. We had a forearm fest to start between the two of them. Mei Sakurai gets the early advantage with the big boot. And we've been seeing her use that a lot, like as a cutoff, as, you know, pile on move. She's been using this really stiff Yakuza kick. And you kind of wonder if Yuji Nagata is teaching Stars, is on the opposite side his rival from the 90s, Masahiro Chono, maybe doing something with DDM. You've seen Julia using the big boot. You've seen Chono, we see Mei Sakurai here using it. So I think that'd be maybe something cool that, you know, they show Masahiro Chono is kind of secretly teaching Donald Del Mundo some of the hidden tricks. It'd be cool to see Mike and Himika maybe start using the STF as a finisher. When we see Julia use that. But anywho, back to the match. Momo hits a beautiful drop kick, 619, and the springboard drop kick, all in sequence for a near 2. Then they go back and forth using some flash pinfalls to get some near wins. You figured it's the first match of the 5-star. Any one of these moves can get the advantage or get the win. Eventually, Mei Sakurai comes back with another huge big boot, one after another, wearing Momo down, and then she uses the Gourd Buster to get the pinfall. 3.25 stars. Good way to start the tournament. Match number 2 saw Ami Sourei versus Saida, and to the shock of absolutely no one, this match started with, guess what, folks? Chops. I thought that was really good. I thought it was really cool how Saida kept going for Ami's arm. You know, Ami throws, she has a lot of power with that Blue Thunder Bomb, the Brain Buster. She throws those brutal lariats. So I thought it was cool how Saida was working Ami's right arm. Not only that, but it was setting her up for the Nagata lock. Again, you know, we've seen Yuji Nagata training Stars and showing the Nagata lock. And I like how Saida is the one out of all the members of Stars that's adopting it. You know, Koguma, Hazuki, and Mayu are kind of like made people right now. Momo, Kogo, and Hana, they're not there yet, but they're getting there. So I thought that is cool that they were giving the Yuji Nagata's finisher, his main finishers for decades, to Saida, just adding that much more to her. So I like that little wrinkle that they used, and she even did the eye roll in the back of the head, and you can hear like Nagata like really pop for it. So I thought that was cool. I was a big fan of how when Ami Sourei was really getting going, she knew she couldn't throw the right hand lariats, so she had to throw a left arm lariat. And I thought that was a nice psychology, really really smart. And her tag partner Mirai is the master of the left arm lariat, and we will obviously talk a lot about that in her first two matches. I thought that was really good. That was a really good psychology that added to it. Ami winds up fighting through the pain, fires up after that left arm lariat, hits a Blue Thunder Brahm, and the vertical drop brainbuster for the win, 3.5 stars. Match number 3 is Saki, it's capital letters, Saki, representing the colors Cosmic Angels versus Unagi. So we have the two people from Cosmic Angels. This was a Red Stars block match. Oh, and the match before, I apologize, was a Blue Stars block match. I literally have that in my notes. I just want to kind of remind myself and you fantastic listeners what block we're talking about. So Saki and Unagi, really fast-paced action to start. I really like that. And then they start slowing it down by trading stiff kicks back and forth in the middle of the ring with each other. Big fan of that. Saki does a great job of stringing some moves together and closing the distance by staying aggressive. You don't want Unagi, who's known for stringing a lot of moves back to back to back, to really get an advantage or momentum. So I thought Saki did a really good job kind of cutting off Unagi anytime that she tried to get some momentum going. I thought that was really good. Unagi hits a Michinoku driver. Saki hits a Michinoku driver on Unagi for 2, and then Saki quickly follows up with that running brainbuster that she does for the win, 3.5 stars. Again, these first 3 matches, there wasn't a whole lot of substance to it, but they weren't going really long. I think these 3 matches went like sub 10 minutes, so you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Not a lot of filler, because we know the last handful of matches they're going to be long, but like in the best way. So it was a really good way to highlight these 6 individuals in the first 3 matches. And the crowd, and it really is a really good job warming up the crowd, because they were really coming up, for these first few matches. You don't want to burn them out just right away. Match number 4 was a Red Stars block. We saw Micah take on Risa Sera. I thought this was really, really good. And my first note is Micah looked in phenomenal shape. Not that she was in like bad shape by any means, but she looked really, really good here. Like her core looked more tight, like more cut up. I noticed when she was on the outside and she was like selling and she was getting up, like climbing up on top, like, to the apron, like you just see her back was just all cut up. And then not like cut up like Risa Sera would try to cut her up with the light tube, but like, you know what I mean? Like she's obviously focusing a lot more on her body weight workout. And and we did, if you do go on her, I was on her Instagram like a day or 2 before the tournament, just kind of just going through, see who was, hyping what up. And she was showing a lot of her exercises. I'm a big weightlifting person myself, and there was a lot of her doing squats with her shoes off. And I have a lot of weightlifting and bodybuilding friends where they told me to do squats with your shoes off. And I actually started that this week, so I can see why they like it. But you can see that her effort in the gym is really, really paying off, because her body looks really, really solid. And that's a really good look you want to have going into the 5-star. And, because you have a lot of people watching the tournament. So I will always kudo onto any wrestler that's improving their self, whether it's in the gym or in the ring. Obviously, not just any wrestler, any athlete or any person in general that's just trying to better themselves. Whether it's, reading a book, or you want to become a better cook, you want to become a better, whatever, grass cutter person. If you're improving yourself, hey, I'm rooting for you. So obviously I'm a big fan of Micah regardless. Anywho, really starts with you have the backserve DDM versus Prominence, so you have that heat right there. So they early brawl on the outside, to really kind of change things up a little bit from the first 3 matches. Micah gets rid of the first advantage with a spectacular superplex. So Risa Sera had the advantage on the brawl on the outside. Eventually, Micah cuts Risa off, and she goes for that her beautiful stalling superplex. I thought that was really good. Micah uses a series of lariats to try to keep Risa down, but Risa just fires up and fights back. I thought that was a really good way of showcasing, Risa Sera for the fans who've never seen her before, because I know there was a lot of new viewers onto this year's 5-star. So she fights up and she hits out a sit-out DVD for 2, and then she piles on with an air raid crash and then hits the double knees for the win, 3.5 stars. Really good way to get Risa over, as we've seen Micah have a lot of longer matches. We've seen her with Utami. We've seen her, I beat Utami last year's 5-star, who was the champion. We've seen her come really, really close a few months ago of dethroning Saya Kamatani for the white belt. So I thought the psychology here was really good for Risa as to Risa for not for Micah to build momentum. We've seen her build momentum with some suplexes and some clotheslines, but she quickly got shut that off and closed the door. Was this match really good? Sure. I thought it was excellent. 3.5 stars. Do they have a better match in them? I think so. I think somewhere down the line we may see them get maybe a 14, 15-minute match where we can build towards some fall seeds. But as the fourth match of this tournament, perfectly fine. Didn't waste anybody's time. I thought it was a really good way to get Risa over to start the tournament. Match number 5, Red Stars block. We saw the World of Stardom champion Shuri take on the High Speed champion Azumi. And literally, as this match was starting, I was like, whose idea was to put this match on 5th? You literally have 2 of your champions. I really thought this was going to be the main event. Either this or the Julia and Hazuki match, just based on the heat they were building. But I was like, well, you have 2 of your champions, your main champion, and then your phenomenal high-speed champion. 2 wrestlers I don't think anybody's going to argue is probably in the top 10 of their wrestlers of the year. I have them in my top 5, and you're putting them on 5th. Okay, no problem. Here we go. Azumi starts with some high-speed offense, but Shuri gets the advantage with just one kick right to the head, spills to the outside, where Azumi winds up returning the big head kick onto Shuri, and then she climbs to the top rope and hits a double stomp off the top rope onto Shuri laying on the outside. What a great visual. I'm assuming he's just nuts. And Shuri's just nuts for taking this. This is just night 1, folks. We got 2 more months left of this. Shuri goes in to get in the ring, but Azumi cuts her off with that Hurricanrana that spikes Shuri right on top of her head. I love that move. And Azumi does it so well. And Shuri does a great job feeding and selling it. Fantastic. Azumi's so desperate. She just, at this point, she knows she has the champion. Nobody's pinned the champion in a singles match in a year. And she's so desperate at this point. She's trying to get on that Azumi Sushi. That seems to be Shuri's kryptonite, is that Azumi Sushi. And she just keeps going and going for it. 3 times she goes for it. And even once she baits Shuri in. I thought the psychology was really good there. She had her twice so close. And then she starts eating kicks just to bait. It's I'll eat 1 or 2 of your kicks just to bait you in for another attempt. And she goes for the double Azumi Sushi. And I thought that was that we're going to get our first major upset of the tournament. Shuri winds up kicking out of it. Shuri fires back with a big head kick, and then she goes for the pin, and Azumi kicks out at 1. I thought that was something. It's nope, I'm not going to stay down for this. Shuri tries for the Azumi Sushi on Azumi. A little taste of her own medicine. She can't get it, but eventually feeds out into the stretch muffler white tiger submission. I thought this was fantastic. 4.5 stars. Terrific. And again, I was like, well, how are we going to follow this? Then I went up to get a drink, and then I sat back down, and I was like, oh, we're going to do the Kari versus Saya tag match. So match number 6 is 7 Kari, the reunion of former champions of Nene Takahashi and Kari versus Saya Kamatani and Lady C. I figured we would get little sprinkles of Kari versus Saya here. Just enough to, wet the beak a little. So this way we knew that after the 5-star we were going to get this match. They didn't give us sprinkles. They gave us a lot. And obviously this match that they're going to have, the singles match, it's not happening after the 5-star. It's actually happening in 3 weeks. So it's we're giving you all these great matches. And oh, by the way, here's another pay-per-view. We're giving you all these great matches in the 5-star. And here's another pay-per-view with all these fantastic matches. So Stardom just keeps piling on to what is one of the greatest years in professional wrestling for any wrestling company. And we are here for it, folks. We are here for it. So really quick start with Saya and Kari. Saya's super aggressive. Super aggressive here. It seemed like she has something to prove. Something we really haven't seen from her before. So I thought that was a good it was a good little planting the seeds there of how their single match is going to go. Eventually, Nene and Kari get in there and they get some heat on Lady C. Of course, that's what poor Lady C was there for. Tag into Saya, she gets up on Nene, but her focus is clearly on Kari. Anytime she gets up on Nene, she's just bumping Kari off the apron. A little bit of heelish stuff we saw from kind of both Kari and Saya. But I don't think anybody's going to boo either of them, to be honest. I think we're going to face versus face match there. Really good double teamwork from both teams, including the pop-up elbow from Nene and Kari onto Lady C. I thought that was really cool. Perfectly done. perfectly done for a team that hasn't done that move in years. I thought that looked absolutely tremendous. And Lady C's the perfect person to do it on. So really good feed on Lady C, and she ate that elbow like a champ. Eventually, we get some really good striking stuff with Lady C and Nene. Nene tries to go off the top rope. Weren't sure what she was going for, but Lady C hits a big choke slam on her, gets a 2 count. I thought that was a really good spot. We get more stuff with Kari and Saya. Really good chemistry. I mean, these two are going to absolutely knock it out of the park in their singles match coming up here in just a few weeks. We get back into the two legal people in the ring, Nene and Lady C. Lady C eats a low enziguri and then a frog splash for the pinfall win for the Stardom legends, Kari and Nene. And I thought Nene looked really good here. I thought Kari's looked really good in all of her matches she's had since she's been back, but this was her best. I mean, she was on point, and her outfit I thought was terrific. She looked like she was almost was like a mix of the stuff she was wearing when she came back and her stuff with like the Kabuki Warriors with Asuka when they try to turn her heel, but nobody's booing Kari because she's just so damn good. I had this at 4.5 stars. This was absolutely fantastic. They did a really good job building up Kari versus Saya, and then Nene called out Sherry, and they agreed to a match, which we're going to get on the same card, the Stardom X Stardom card, coming up here at the end of August. So, and I've talked about this on this podcast before, this match is going to be great because you have two really, really hard hitters. But at the same time, it's like, okay, Nene, she beat Momo Watanabe. That was a little over a year ago. She gets the win here. Like, why is she getting a title shot? Like, isn't there so many more deserving people? And I think they did a really good job of Ami Sourei coming in after the challenge was accepted from Sherry and getting in Nene Takahashi's face. And I think that's just for Nene to get a win to build her up. So I think somewhere between now and the 21st of August, you will get a special singles match with Nene Takahashi versus Ami Sourei. That will be hard hitting. Obviously, we know that that's the way it's going to go. It's going to just build up the challenger for her title shot against Sherry. So I thought that was like smart booking. It's like hey, we're going to get Sherry another title win here on the road in the middle of, not even the middle, pretty much the beginning of the 5-star. But I'm all here for it. I mean, that Stardom X Stardom show is going to be fantastic, and it's literally wedged in with all this fantastic 5-star stuff. So, blowing a kiss to you, Stardom. Fantastic stuff. We move on to match number 7, Blue Stars block. We have the Cinderella tournament winner, Mirai, taking on the former 2-time Cinderella winner and the former 1-time 5-star Grand Prix and winner, and our hero, our icon, everybody's favorite, Mayu Iwatani. It's another really, really solid match. Mayu uses some old school wrestling mixed with her speed for the early advantage, but eventually crashes and burns on that brutal suicide dive. Mayu has a beautiful, I mean, her and Io are like 1 and 2 of like the greatest suicide dive ever. And Mayu goes for it. And we always see like she hits it and then like not only does her opponent catch her, but whatever faction there catches her, you got to be safe. But she just misses this, like right on, and they did it at the perfect spot, like right on the ramp. So not only does she miss, but Mirai picks her up and then hits her with like a side suplex powerbomb. So like right on the floor, and then she quickly throws Mayu into the ring, and then she does the same thing again. She hits her with a powerbomb. And I was, if you listen to this podcast before, especially for our Red Belt tier members on the Patreon, I'm a big fan of really deep covers, really good covers. Mirai had like this like side headlock, almost like cow catcher catch submission style pinfall on Mayu. And I thought that was a really cool cover. I was like, wow. That was like one of the coolest things to me that happened in this match. Things that I like. It's just the little things, and just one of the many reasons why I'm a big fan of Mirai. I thought that was really good. Mayu comes back with a few desperation super kicks. The way that she puts these in, like the spots that she puts them into her match just to create separation. It makes sense. Mayu just ate it on the dive, eats a powerbomb on the outside, eats a huge powerbomb on the inside. She's got to create separation. Obviously, she's got that go-to super kick. She hits her with a few. And then Mirai fires up and blasts poor Mayu with several lariats into two from the back of the head. I don't think we've seen Mirai do these before. If we have, obviously there's nobody in the world that's going to sell them better than Mayu. We all know how much I love Mayu selling. I think she's one of the best all time. And when it comes to selling over, and selling one move to put over her opponent, and she saw these 2 lariats to the back of the that Mirai hits her in the back of the head like she just got shot with a gun. I mean, these are just brutal. Mayu fires back up, gets a few desperation cradles for near falls, but another lariat to the back of the neck and the mirror Mirai shock gets the win for Mirai. Mayu's losing streak on night 1 of the 5-star continues. 4 stars. Absolutely fantastic. Just a brilliant way to build Mirai up this whole weekend. You built her up all year. She gets the win in the Cinderella tournament, loses to Saya in a match of the year candidate, in my opinion, for the white belt. And then her and Ami team up. They have 2 unsuccessful title shots at FWC, the match they lost and the time limit draw, even though they didn't get pinned, it's an unsuccessful. So she had 3 unsuccessful title shots. And this whole weekend, and we'll get into night 2, obviously, in a little bit, was a great way of just building her back up. 4 stars, great booking, absolutely solid. Match number 8 saw Himeka versus Utami. First note, and this is a Red Stars block match. And speaking of Red Stars, the long red hair of Utami is back. I'm so excited. I'm a big fan of just how she looked last year as champion, with the rose, with the belt, with the flag, with the mask, and with the long hair, with the tips dyed. I just think that it's like championship Utami. She just she doesn't really need much of that to look like a star. She's just a huge star and has that presence, but just adds to it. So now I will say this. I obviously watch Stardom every week, as you know, as I do this podcast. But as I wrote that note, I was like, oh, cool. She's got the long hair with the red tips. I was like, wait a minute. Last week, I thought she had short hair. Now, my sister-in-law is a hairdresser. So I was like, I think it might be hair extensions. And my wife isn't a hairdresser, but she knows a thing or two about makeup and hair or this or that. So when she got up a few hours later, I brought it up and showed her the match. And she's like, oh, those are definitely hair extensions. And early on in the match, you saw like part of Utami's hair kind of go flying out. So, whatever. I thought, I don't think hair grows that fast, but whatever. Hey, that's the insights that I give you here on the Stardom cast. Really good slow building pace between the two. Utami tries to use the rear naked choke for early advantage, while Himeka tries to use a Boston Crab. I like that. I like how they were kind of slowing things to build towards the match, and Utami's trying to use one of her go-to holds, the rear naked choke, and Himeka was trying to go for one of her go-to submission holds, the Boston Crab. I thought that was really good. We get a clothesline shoulder tackle stalemate between the two. We knew we were going to get it. We got it. Loved it. They go back and forth. Eventually, Himeka hits a big back suplex, follows up with a sliding lariat and the JP coaster for 2. Himeka hits that big power bomb, the concussion bomb for 2. She goes for a lariat. Utami ducks and hits a big release German suplex. That was scary. That was like Masawa Kawada style. Just brutal. Good way to create separation. Good way for Utami to get back up. Utami goes goes for the torture rack bomb. Himeka escapes and follows with a series of lariats and then another big concussion running power bomb for the 3 count and gets an upset. Another upset here. 4 1/4 stars. Utami, who's a favorite for a lot of people to win the red block and a favorite for a lot of people to win the whole thing, loses on night 1. So, salt match though, 4 1/4 stars. The main event of night 1 saw Hazuki versus Julia, Blue Stars block match. These two pick up right where they left off, from their tag matches that they've been having, building up to this with a hockey-style street fight. They battle at the top of the ramp. The ref tries to break it up, and Julia throws the ref down and launches off the ref's back for a drop kick. You know me, I don't like abuse on the referee, but this was fine. No problem with it here. Come to think of it, I've only wrestled heel a handful of times, and I have used something similar to this. The thing that I would do is my contact fell out. I know this is an audio podcast, but I'm doing quotes. My contact fell out, and I would have the ref get on all fours to look for my contact, and I would launch off the back. So I don't know why I thought of that, but so I had no problem with the little abuse. It's not giant abuse, but the little thing that Julia does here, and she's done it a couple times before. God bless her for taking that flat back bump onto that stage. That was a heck of a thud. She tries to go for a glorious driver off the ramp. Hazuki slips through. She hits a big boot that sends Julia all the way down to the ramp. And then, not to be outdone, to see who's the craziest person on this night, Hazuki dives off the ramp onto Julia and all of Donald Del Mundo. I thought that was a great visual. Just that kind of back and forth they did there. Great visual. They brawl back to the ring where Julia goes to headbutt, not to the ringside, excuse me. Julia gets the advantage and sets up Hazuki onto the ring post, goes for a headbutt, and misses it. She headbutts the post. Very Nigel McGuinness light. And if you've seen the Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson matches from Ring of Honor, especially the one in England, where Nigel headbutts, or Nigel gets thrown into the ring post time after time. He's a giant hematoma on his head. Scary. Obviously, this was brutal, nowhere near as scary as that, thank God, but it was a really, really cool visual. God bless Julia. She's going, you can tell she's going all out on this 5-star. Back in the ring, a huge slap fest between the two, and you could see as the slap fest is like winding down, the two of them really grit down on their teeth because they know like these final big slaps are coming, and they lay these in, boy, I tell you what. Julia gets the advantage and locks in the STF and switches to the Stealth Viper. Really good selling from both ladies on the offensive and defensive selling. This could have been the finish. Eventually, Hazuki gets out and counters with a code breaker. They go back and forth as eventually Hazuki gets the final advantage with some big strikes. She piles on a senton, Mijinoko driver, and the best brain buster I've ever seen her do. Very much in the vein of Toshiaki Kawada or Shinjiro Hashimoto. We've seen Hazuki use the brain buster a lot, but this was like very dangerous. But you can take the way she took the bomb, very dangerous. Again, very Hashimoto Kawada-esque. 4 3/4 stars, and now I know why Sherry and Izumi didn't go on last. Not that I think if they flipped them, I don't think anybody would have been heartbroken. So again, Utami favorite to win the red block, loses night 1. Julia favorite to win the blue block, loses on night 1. So very interesting booking here. 4 3/4 stars. I thought Hazuki and Julia was the best match of night 1. So going on to night 2, which was the very next night, was the 31st of July in front of 1,367 fans. Hold on one sec here. Give me a little drink. We move into the very first match, I guess the pre-show match, or whatever you want to call it, was the tag gauntlet. So match 1 saw Lady C and Hina versus Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. So right from the get-go, we have some Queen's Quest team. Azumi Sushi over Lady C. And I thought Azumi looked really, really good here. For someone who didn't have to go all out. She really did. She made everything count. And I thought it was cool that after she got the Azumi Sushi on Lady C, she asked her, like, are you okay? I thought it was cool. Like, she was checking on her fellow Queen's Quest member. I thought that was so nice of the high-speed champion. The second part of this match, Azumi and Miyu versus Ruaka and Rina. Azumi Sushi on Ruaka. And then we get Hana and Hazuki. They're a really good team together. I thought this was a really good segment with Azumi and Miyu versus Hana and Hazuki. Miyu rolls up Hana for the win. Wonder if that's going to lead to a future championship Stardom match here. So that is a very, very good possibility. Azumi and Miyu versus Mai Sakurai and Maika. Maika gets the win on Miyu with the rolling lariat. I thought that was in to win the tag gauntlet. So poor Azumi and Miyu run through the entire the entire gauntlet, and then the Donald Domendo team comes out and they just have to win one match. Oh, what can you do? But I thought this was really good. I thought this was a little bit better than night 1, 3.5 stars. But I thought both tag gauntlets are really, really good. Really good way to get the crowd going. And again, a lot of star power in this match as well. You had Azumi in there, you had Hazuki in there, you had Maika in there. So I thought that was really good booking. Match number 1, well, official match number 1 of this night 2 is a Red Stars block match, as we saw Koguma take on Momo Kogo. Momo Kogo tries to steal right off the bat. She does a little healer stuff right off the bat and goes for some near falls when Koguma's thinking that they're going to shake hands because they're both members of Stars. Momo being really aggressive out of the get-go. Momo looked really solid here. She's looking better each and every night. Obviously, she's a replacement for Tekla. She's really doing a good job taking advantage of the situation here. She hit the Nectar Peach for 2, but ultimately Kogo uses her high-speed offense towards the end to get the advantage, and the Koguma roll for the win, 3.5 stars. Match number 2, Mina Shirakawa versus Momo Watanabe, a Blue Stars block match. Now, I've been talking on social media how I thought this was going to be like the sleeper match of the weekend. And I even when I did my review, I was saying about how I think it's not going to be a match that it's going to be like match of the year, but I think when it's over with, I think a lot of fans are going to be really impressed just by how much Mina has improved. We've seen her on social media working with a kickboxing coach, so we know that she does a really good job throwing that enziguri, throwing the forearms, that rolling forearm that she's been really improving on. And it looked like we were going to see some kicks. So what better opponent to have your first match with to throw kicks than basically one of the best kickers in all of wrestling, Momo Watanabe. I don't like to sound like, Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, and Bobby Heenan after Ric Flair won the 1992 Royal Rumble when he said, I don't like to be the one to say I told you so, but I told you so. And I told everybody that will listen to me that this match is going to be fantastic. And I told you so. This was great. The one negative thing I got to get out of the way is Mina starts dancing on the ramp. Momo cuts her off. Now, I don't mind the cutting off of the dancing. Just don't do it to Tam. But so Momo's not even introduced. She just blasts Mina, beats her up on the ramp, bumps her, and then she runs in the ring and the ref starts counting. I'm like, well, it's not an official match yet. Like neither of them got in the ring. The ref didn't check anybody for weapons. So that was like the one thing I was like, huh, really? Like if you want to do the jump, maybe on the entrances, not on the, like when they're announcing the names, have Momo jump Mina, throw her outside poster, and then maybe take her up the ramp and then bump her. Again, I'm not going to tell Stardom how to do their booking because they're absolutely fantastic, but it's like, it's not an official match. Why are we counting out poor Mina? Heat right from the get-go from there once Mina beats the 20 count with some stiff kicks and some stiff forearms. Mina does a great job selling and feeding, and then she fires up at the right time, which I think that Momo gave her cue because we all know Momo is a genius when it comes to pro wrestling. Mina fires back at the right time with some forearms and some kicks. Really, really good kicks. Momo counters with a DDT. Mina goes for a DDT when she gets the advantage on Momo, but she slips through and counters with a deep crossface chicken wing, and then Tequila Sunrise, followed up by two Meteors for two. Mina comes back with a series of really stiff forearms, rolling elbows, and some reverse backhand slaps. I thought that was really good. Momo counters back with some kicks and forearms. You know me, I like a big strike fest, and these two really, really brought it. This was they did a good job bringing the crowd in, too, with these stiff shots. Mina reverses a bastard driver to a near fall when the ref gets pulled. Momo hits a crazy series of kicks and a really stiff buzzsaw kick onto Momo. Onto Mina. She goes for the wrench. I love Momo Watanabe, but they got to get rid of this wrench. They really do. It just takes me out of it. She doesn't need it either. She goes for the wrench, but her and the ref are playing tug of war with the wrench. This allows Mina to get up, hits that beautiful enziguri, and then the glorious collection Mina for the win and a giant shocking upset. Didn't see this coming at all. I knew this was going to be a good match. I figured Momo was just coming off that title challenge against Shuri. I thought that Momo would get the win here. Mina gets a very important win. This was I had this 4 1/4 stars. This is the best Mina match I've ever seen. I think this is like a top 4 or 5 singles match for Momo for this year. I mean, I know she hasn't had a lot of them, but like the Hazuki match at World Climax, I think was better. The Shuri title match was better. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, what other singles match from Momo was better this year than this one? I absolutely love this match. I thought that this was absolutely fantastic. And it's match number 2. Like, what a way to really, really get going. What a good way to, just hours prior, us Stardom fans were mourning that we weren't getting Io Shirai back. What a good way to heal our hearts. Again, good on Io. God bless you. Go hit a home run. We know you will, Queen. Match number 3, Saki versus Risa Sera. The Red Stars block match. Risa uses some submission holds early on to try and slow Saki's fast-paced offense down. I noticed that in the few matches I've seen Saki wrestle, she does a really good job using a little bit of high-speed offense. So maybe that'll be opponent somewhere down the line for Azumi. Saki versus Azumi for the high-speed championship. We've seen some numerous people in the high-speed division, in the past couple months that really haven't had any high-speed matches. So wouldn't be shocked to see Saki and Azumi somewhere down the line for the high-speed championship. Eventually Saki fires up on Risa Sera, hits a few big boots and a brain buster for 2. Risa Sera starts countering some of Saki's offense and hits an air raid crash for the win. 3 1/4 stars. I was kind of hoping this would have got a little bit more time. It seemed like they tried to pack like a 12-minute match in like 7 or 8 minutes, but I thought it was fine for what it was. Match number 4 saw the next Kari tag match as Mayu Iwatani and Saya Iida versus Kari and Natsupoi. Poi brings back her classic look as Kari gives her a hat. I thought that was a cute little spot. Chop fest between Kari and Saya Iida. I thought this was a really good showing for Saya Iida. Lady C really didn't get too much in the first match. I was kind of hoping I think everybody figured that Saya Iida was going to be eating the pin here. I thought they did a really good job showcasing her here. I thought it was really good chop fest with Kari and Saya, tags out to Poi and Mayu, and they don't miss. I don't remember. I got to go back and watch, and you folks might know better than me. Did Natsupoi and Mayu ever have like a long singles match, like like post 12 minutes? Because these two were fantastic. I would love to see these two, go at it for somewhere where it's going to be 12, 13, 14 minutes. I mean, they are in the same block of the 5-star, so maybe that's something that we'll see somewhere down the line. So yeah, I thought these two were absolutely fantastic. Some really good chemistry back and forth between the two. So yeah, we'll see what they do in the 5-star. Double spear from Kari onto Mayu and Saya Iida. I thought Mayu and Saya Iida's tag stuff was really good here. Got slowed down with that double spear from Kari. Really good looking visual. Mayu starts lighting Kari up with some huge forearms. They go back and forth, and then everybody pitches to the outside, and then she hits that crazy suicide dive that she missed the night before. Then she pitched her back in, pair of super kicks, and this crowd is absolutely buzzing. Really coming up for this. This crowd was really into this. Back into Saya Iida, really gets up on Kari. Kari gave her a lot here. And Kari really did a good job feeding and selling for Saya Iida. She locks in the Nagata lock. I really like how they're getting that move over with Saya, and I'd like her to see maybe have her win 1 or 2 matches, like big matches in this tournament with the Nagata lock. I think they're doing a really good job getting that over, especially since Yuji Nagata is right there at ringside doing the commentary. Natsupoi breaks up, and then we get some really good sequences with Mayu and Natsupoi, and then we get eventually Natsupoi gets the advantage on Mayu, pitches Mayu to the outside. They put up Saya Iida into the turnbuckle in the Trio Woe. Kari and Natsupoi come off with a double stomp onto Saya Iida. I thought that was really good. Kari hits the spinning back fist on Saya Iida, but Saya Iida fires up. I thought that was great. And then she fires up on Kari with several near falls. Eventually, the spinning back fist is hit again, and Natsupoi hits the Ferial Train onto Saya Iida, and then Kari hits Saya Iida with the beautiful insane elbow for the 3 count. I thought that was really good. I thought that the finish there was really good about how Saya Iida she almost had Kari tap out to the Nagata lock. She eats the spinning back fist like a champ, fires up. She gets a couple near falls onto Kari with some of her flash pins, and then it basically takes Natsupoi and Kari some few double teams to kind of keep Saya down, and then Kari hits an even stiffer spinning back fist onto Saya, and then they had to go back. They had to go 2 for 2, or finisher to finisher with the Ferial Gift and the Insane Elbow. 4.5 stars. I think I like this tag match slightly better than the night before, but I think the bigger story coming out of these Kari matches is her and Saya Kamitani. I think just the chemistry there was just a little bit better. I think Natsupoi's stuff here looked really good, and you had Mayu in the match. And they did a really good job focusing and bringing up Saya Iida. So I think both matches 4.5 stars, but I think that I like the tag match on night 2 just a little bit better. Let me know which one you folks liked. Love to hear it. We go to match number 5. We saw Himeka coming up with the big upset from night 1, taking on Tam, Red Stars Black match. Classic story of speed versus power, plus Tam uses Himeka's power against her, like with some counter wrestling. I thought it was really smart on Tam doing that. Tam starts targeting Himeka's arm to take away the power advantage and those brutal lariats. There's even one spot in the match where Himeka's really starting to get going, and she goes for the lariat, and Tam kicks the arm out, and then she hits a spin kick right onto it, perfectly placed and perfectly fed by Himeka, and then a tiger suplex for 2. She goes for the violent shooting but misses. Himeka hits a big sliding lariat that she winds up selling the arm. She can't follow up all the way. Tam gets the advantage back by going after Himeka's hurt arm again, hits 3 violent shootings back to back, and then hits the Twilight Dream for the pinfall. Again, it was a very 4 stars, very easy psychology, easy to follow. slow building, and then once it picked up, they really had a great ending, especially with when this match was announced. I was like, okay, Tam's gonna win. She'll probably win with a bunch of violent shootings. I was shocked to see her get the Tiger suplex, and then she hit the 3 violent shootings in a row, and I thought that was gonna be the finish. But she was able to hit a perfect Twilight Dream onto Himika, who's way taller than Tam. I mean, just shows you just the core strength of Tam, and the perfect bridge. Really good spectacle. It's a really good slow build, but that finish is that last 2.5, 3 minutes is where it really kicked in, especially with the finish was just perfect. So I was gonna have it at like 3.5 stars, but just based on that finish, I bumped it up a half a star to 4 stars. Okay, folks, match number 6 is a Blue Stars block match. We see Mirai versus Julia. So you figure, okay, there's no way Julia's going to lose this one, right? She's the odds-on favorite from everybody to win this whole tournament. She lost on night 1, no problem. She's going to rebound here. But this was another shocker. Great match, though. Mirai starts off, she's so desperate to get on that double wrist lock, really, really going for it. They're going back and forth with some really good chain wrestling, and anytime that Mirai gets a part of the wrist or gets the arm, she's trying to lock in that double wrist lock. So I thought that was really good psychology. It's like she's trying to get this match over with quick, and she's going to one of her bread and butter holds. And they do a really good job of highlighting Julia that she kind of knows the tricks of the double wrist lock to get out. So I thought that was really good. Mirai gets the advantage and goes for the Mirror Mirai shock, but Julia counters with the Stealth Viper. Mirai gets the advantage back with some brutal lariats, including more lariats to the back of the neck. I guess that's like her go-to, which I think we're going to see a lot of that here in this tournament. She goes for the Mirror Mirai shock again. Julia slips out and hits a beautiful backdrop driver. Looked like when she was going to pick her up, their timing was off a little, and Julia did a good job kind of holding Mirai there for a split second just to kind of get her timing back. And then she almost like deadlifted her, which I thought was really cool visual. I mean, actually made the move look even better. She goes for the glorious driver. Mirai slips out and hits a series of lariats, especially 2 to the back of Julia's neck. They go back and forth with some quick pinfalls, or we call the fish out of water spot. Eventually, Mirai lands on top, and Mirai has a solid cover here. Big fan of solid covers, and gets the shocking win as Julia goes 0-2. Oh my. Fantastic match, fantastic finish. 4.25 stars. And I alluded to earlier on when I reviewed night 1. What a way to build Mirai up. You've been building her up all year, wins the Cinderella tournament, goes 0-3 on title shots and over the next few months, and then she gets a win over Mayu, the icon of Stardom, and then a win over Julia, the odds-on favorite to win this tournament. What a great way just to build Mirai back up. Just the booking on Stardom is just genius. It's just genius. Match number 7, a rematch from the match of the year, as we see Blue Stars block match, Starlight Kid versus Sai Kamatani. And these two pick up right where they left off from their match just a few weeks ago. Great offensive back and forth, some really good high-speed offense between the two. The two of them sticking to their bread and butter. Really good chemistry between these two. Really awesome spot with Sai Kamatani going for the Star Crusher, but Starlight Kid getting out and hits a lightning spiral. It's just a beautiful spin, beautiful timing, and the way that Sai Kamatani folded herself up. Really, really cool. I thought that was a really cool visual. There's another spot early on in the match when Starlight Kid gets the advantage and she hits the Acai moonsault, and then not to be outdone, she pitches Sai Kamatani in the ring, the white belt champion in the ring. Sai gets the advantage, and then she hits the picture perfect springboard plancha onto her. I thought that was really, really, really good. How it's just like, you're gonna do one cool area move, cool Starlight Kid, I'm gonna do my really cool aerial move. That's just like 50-50 back and forth psychology. And with two wrestlers that are so evenly matched, I really, really liked it. Especially this as the semi-main event. Counter after counter with these two, neither Starlight Kid or Sai Kamatani really getting a clear advantage. Lots of quick near falls. Eventually, Sai Kamatani hits the Star Crusher for a 2 count. She gets cut off when she goes to the top rope. We all know she's going for the Phoenix Splash. Sai Kamatani gets the advantage back with some really, really stiff strikes. We've been seeing her, especially after that Mirai match, really focusing on her strikes, really having really brutal strikes, like that spin kick that she throws that looks like she almost wraps around her opponent's head. And she's been throwing some really, really good forearms. So just adding to the already fantastic offense that is Sai Kamatani. Saya goes for the Star Crusher, but Starlight Kid counters with the Hurricanrana pin for the win. We've seen this, like the way that Starlight Kid did this in their championship match just a few weeks ago. That when Starlight Kid, when she has the Hurricanrana, she like wraps her feet in like an X over Saya's head and rolls through. And then she basically crosses the leg. So she has like a leg cross on the neck and then like a leg cross, with her arms on Saya's legs for adding more leverage. And I remember when they had the championship match just a few weeks ago, I thought it was a really good faulty because a lot of people bit, including me. And this time they go back to it and it's actually the actual win. I think that was fantastic. I had this at 4 3/4 stars. I think their championship match was better just because I think the stakes were bigger because you have the white belt on the line and you had a little bit more time to tell your story. But regardless, with them getting this done in less than 15 minutes, fantastic. 4 3/4 stars. We move on to the main event. So we follow up the match of the year, in my opinion, so far this year, between Starlight Kid and Saya Kamatani versus the matches I had 1 or 2 last year for Stardom in 2021. Utami versus Cherry. So you're going back to back on matches of the year. A lot of people expected this match to go to time limit draw. They only had 15 minutes to work with. So we've seen them go to time limit draw last year. We've seen them go to the time limit draw in the double knockout in their match in June. And then we've seen them go almost 40 minutes in their championship match at the end of the year at Wrestle Queendom. So these two, they started off with a really, really tight lockup. I'm always going to pop for that. They trade forearms back and forth. Sherry grounds Utami with a tight headlock. One thing I've noticed watching these Sherry matches, the way she locks in a headlock. Something as simple as a headlock. We know she's got a shooter background. She's fought in the UFC. She's a former Pancrase strawweight champion. So she knows about like what we call, they call in catch wrestling, the chin strap. When you're locking on something's opponent's chin, you want to go from like ear to ear. She does a really good job locking in the headlock. And I pop huge for that. Again, it's these little things that to me they add up to making, the technical things just make a wrestler so much better. And Sherry does everything so well, especially just like lockups, headlocks, and just grinding Utami down with the headlock, trying to wear Utami down. Sherry goes right to Utami's arm to try to take away some of her power and those series of lariats that we know are coming regardless. Sherry lays in some stiff kicks on Utami as she really gets the first advantage. They wind up brawling to the apron. Sherry goes for a head kick, but Utami gets Sherry to the apron. She fires back up on Sherry, and she locks in a hanging rear naked choke from the top rope, which I believe is now that shot of Utami locking on the rear naked choke on Sherry is actually the cover of the next Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine, which I just put an order in. So I was like, sweet, anytime Stardom's on the cover of that magazine, I will always order and get it shipped from Japan. So kudos on to them for doing that spot, because guess what, ladies? You made the cover of a Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine. The two of them brawl to the apron. Sherry goes for a head kick onto Utami, gets blocked, and Utami hits the air raid crash onto the apron that we've seen so many times as the momentum swings back to the Queen's Quest leader. Utami piles up on Sherry with some strikes, but Sherry quickly cuts off Utami with a DDT on the floor as the crowd really, really comes up. They do a really good job selling at that certain point. Back to the ring, Sherry hits a series of stiff strikes back and forth, and then goes after Utami's arm again. Psychology, kids, stay on it with the rolling arm bar. Really, really good spot to put that in. You're wearing down your opponent with those kicks. You want to go back to the arm. Perfect time for it, as Utami's arm's open for it. Utami desperately gets to the ropes. Sherry starts laying in some kicks. She goes for a big kick, but Utami catches it and counters it with a power bomb, and then hits a big release German suplex and onto Sherry. Sherry sells to the turnbuckle. Utami knows this is her chance. She only has a few minutes to get this done. She can't go down 0 for 2, especially on her rival Sherry. She hits a whole bunch of clotheslines into the turnbuckle, picks up Sherry onto the top rope, hits a top rope air raid crash for a near 2 count. She hits a big headbutt and then a beautiful bridging German suplex for 2. I always think that Utami should win more matches with that German suplex. Reminds me a lot of Takayama. Sherry counters the onslaught and hits a German suplex of her own, but the former champion won't stay down. She knows now at this point The timekeeper's counting down the time. We're getting under a minute. Utami fires up on her rival with a series of lariats, piles on back and forth with just strike after strike, clothesline after clothesline, fighting through the earlier pain that the champion has done on the arm, hits a hijack bomb as the time limit almost expires. I thought maybe we had a time limit draw here, like she wouldn't be able to follow up. This was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Great pacing. Great storytelling with Sherry just trying to stay on Utami's arm. I think the fact that Utami lost on night one really showed her urgency here the last 2 minutes of this match, knowing that she couldn't go for a draw or obviously couldn't go for a loss here. I thought it was really smart booking to have Utami lose in night one, which I was kind of scratching my head when it first happened. But just the sense of urgency these last 2 minutes just really added on to it. And it just goes and shows us a great backstory from night one. I lost on night one. I got to win on night two. Fires through the pain. Piles on with all those big moves at the end. I had this at 5 stars, and this was my match of the weekend. Absolutely love this match. And the fact they were able to tell another fantastic story and did it in just under 15 minutes just goes to show you that this very well could be the best rivalry in all of wrestling coming up in the next 10 years. We're just coming on the tail end of Okada and Tanahashi. To me, that is the greatest rivalry in the history of pro wrestling. They just constantly top each other, and who's better. The matches tell really, really good stories. But the fact that these two ladies were able to do this under 15 minutes just absolutely blew my mind. Fantastic match, and I loved it. And literally my last note here is Utami needing an ultra blitz time after time to crack the Shuri code. She finally gets a singles pinfall win over Shuri. So this just adds on so much more. So if Utami doesn't win the tournament, she's got a title shot lined up. Because she beat the champion. Shuri's first singles pinfall loss in, roughly around a year. I'd have to go back into Rob Goodwin's book, Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th Anniversary in Review. I have it. It's literally on the other side of the room. But, fantastic. Both shows, A+. What I'm going to do is just as these shows start adding up, when we get to the end of the podcast, I'm going to give you my top 5 matches from the tournament. Since there is only 2 matches, 2 shows, I'm just going to do top 3. So number 3 would be Azumi Shuri. Number 2 would be Hazuki Julia. And number 1 would be Utami versus Shuri. Which I guess in my match of the year, it seems like after every podcast, I'm going back and forth between Saya and Shuri. I guess after these 2 nights, maybe Shuri has taken over Saya. And the fact that Saya and Starlight Kid, I had it 4 3/4 stars, and it didn't make my top 3 matches, just because I just like the dynamic between Shuri and Azumi. And they could switch. I'm probably going to go back and watch these matches, and it could switch. But as I'm recording this podcast, those are my 3 matches. Again, Azumi, Shuri, 3. 2 would be Hazuki, Julia, and number 1 would be Shuri and Utami. And I've seen a lot of people posting their top 3, their top 5, and a lot of people have a lot of different things. I've seen somebody that number 2 put Momo and Mina. I was like, all right, fantastic. And it's your opinion. There's nothing, wrong with your opinion. You can say whoever you want. That's completely your opinion. Why you like something over something else. There's nothing wrong with that. And by all means, send me your top 3. Send me your top 5. Tell me what you think has been the sleeper match of these first 2 nights. Because I thought every match was fantastic. I thought, the 2 tag matches with Saya and Lady C versus Kari and Nene, and Kari and Natsupoi versus Mayu and Saya Ida. I thought those were terrific. And I thought the 2 pre-show gauntlet matches were really, really excellent with a lot of star power. So absolutely fantastic shows. So hope you're all enjoying them. Tell me what you think, and tell me what's going to happen with Julia. You think she's going to run the table and win the rest of the matches? I think she almost kind of has to now. So maybe that's, we saw she took a pinfall loss in the Artists of Stardom championship match just a few weeks ago, and then she loses back-to-back matches here. So I think this would be a good way to build her back up. She just ate 3 pinfall losses pretty much in a row on pay-per-view, and I think she's pretty much going to run the table here. I could be wrong. Because the booking is really, really interesting here, and it's keeping a lot. That's great about the 5-star. you can get a lot of upsets. You can get a lot of upsets and no time limit draws. Not that I'm against them, but we didn't have any time limit draws here just yet. I think that they're coming. I got no problem with them as long as they're wrestling solid, and it was. So before I finish up this episode, I got to give kudos to the editor-in-chief of this podcast, Mr. Sean Montrose. If you are on any of our Patreons, first of all, I thank you. Second of all, I release a lot of content. I was just talking to him earlier today. I think he said he edited and put up like 5 shows in 5 days, or 5 shows in like 6 days, between the Arisa review, between the normal podcast that we do, the free weekly one, between the watch along that I did, the one between Mayu and Takumi Iroha from 2020 for the red belt, between the bonus episode, the 2 bonus episodes that we did, the watch along that me and Sean did with Mayu versus Momo, and the other bonus episode with the 5-star preview. I think he said he did like 5. We put up like 5 shows in 5 days, something like that. So kudos to him. I mean, the guy he just works his ass off. He does everything he possibly can do to make this podcast better. He's always texting me with ideas to try to make everything better, and I can't thank him enough. And we got him into Stardom. Didn't take much. Took 1 match. We're getting him into Stardom, and maybe over the next handful of months, once we get him more familiar with the product, maybe we'll have him on to review a show. I think we're going to do another watch along in another few weeks. So, because everyone seemed to really like him on the show. So, thanks a million. By all means, get a chance, just go on social media, Sean Montrose, just, send him some love, listen to his podcast that he does with his beautiful wife, The Illest Couple. Really, really good, informative, and funny podcast. As far as the Patreon members, I can't say thank you enough. I mean, it just seems like every day I'm turning around, there's more and more people supporting the Patreon. So I thank you so much. The Arisa Hoshinki review, people have been asking us for months to do that review. When I put that up on the poll, I knew that was going to win. I had a great time with it. Just dropped that a few days ago. Just fantastic feedback. So thank you, everybody, so much. The Utami review has gotten nothing but thumbs up, and everybody loves these watch-alongs. They love the watch-alongs. So we're going to be dropping the next watch-along Monday. That'll be in your feed on Monday. It'll be the finals of last year's 5-star Grand Prix with Momo Watanabe versus Shuri. I'm almost done with the watching all the matches for the next white belt and red belt tier member review, which is Hana Kimura's 2019 5-star run. So that'll probably be in your feeds in the next 2 weeks or so. So yeah, that's that, folks. Again, I can't say thank you enough to all the members of the Stardom cast, friends and family. And that's what you guys are. You're more than just fans. You are friends and family. Big thanks to my man Darren Chatton, who he sends me the most positive messages all the time on Twitter, and it just really, really motivates me to do the best I can do with this podcast. And he's the one that actually sent me the attendance numbers of these 2 shows. So almost 1,600, almost 1,400, so almost 3,000 for the 2 shows. So obviously those are really, really good numbers. So thanks, Darren. I greatly appreciate all the positive comments and feedback that you give me almost on a daily basis. I can't say thank you enough. And thank you to everybody listening. Thank you for all the new Patreon members. You can support the show for as little as $1, $3 tier. The white belt tier member gets you 2 bonus shows, and then the red belt tier member gets you those 2 bonus shows plus a weekly watch along. And then I believe sometime in the next month or so, Sean is going to be conducting an Ask Matt Anything AMA. So look for that on the Patreon. So again, guys, thank you so much for the support. I hope you're enjoying the 5-star. Questions, comments, let me know what matches you're enjoying. Let me know what's going on. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with, help you make your day better, and just be all better together. Just hit me up on social media, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter. Just because remember, guys, we're all in this together, and everybody's special. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Everybody's special. One of these days I'll get it right. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Have a great night. Love you all. Stay positive.